but I've learned that I don't fight for what I want in my life too much, because there's a greater plan. And so, my faith has been my top fallback, my fitness. I've got a great family. I've been very blessed to realize that, family is just everything.
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
Welcome to Health in the Real World podcast. This episode is sponsored by My First Workout. My First Workout is a fitness brand created just for kids and specializes in providing the highest quality exercise equipment and programming in the industry. We're here today with Michelle Miller of My First Workout. Michelle, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I'm excited.
Me too, absolutely. Why don't you get started? Tell us a little bit about My First Workout, and then we'll roll from there.
Well, My First Workout is a fitness program that I created just for kids. I didn't feel that kids were getting the attention that they really deserve. They've got little bodies that are no different than our big adult bodies, and we've got lots of great programs out there teaching us some skills and ways to cope with life and all the different things that go on in the course of the day, and that help us to be able to react better, relationally with people, better in our jobs. And I thought, that kids really need to have something too. And particularly as a trainer of 20 years, mainly people hire me to work and help them with their strength training. It's a little bit more of a science behind that. We all know how to walk and get on a bike. It doesn't take a whole lot of skill, but to really strengthen the body properly, condition the body, it does take a little bit more of a plan. And so I broke that down and just really broke down fitness and how to strengthen, make sure that you're strengthening the front of the body and the back of the body and your biceps and your triceps. And everyone's talking about their core, and kids need that as they're sitting at their desk. And so I basically just made a program called My First Workout to teach right in the home, which I didn't anticipate a pandemic happening, but it did. I knew that the research said that kids were going to drop out of sports at some point. By the age of 13, they say 70% of kids have already dropped out of their youth sports. And so when I read that, I said, okay, well, what's plan B then? Because even if we we're a great dancer or football player, what about if it's a Saturday and you're having a hard day and you really just need to let out some steam? It's raining outside and you're frustrated. What are you going to do if you need to let out some energy? You can't go grab all your football players. You can't necessarily go do a dance routine what if you live in a small little apartment? Well, guess what you can do? You can pick up a dumbbell and you can do some bicep curls, and then you might want to add a squat with it. And you might, if you're feeling tight, you might want to add a little bit of a lunge and stretch your legs a little bit. So I thought, I really want to help these kids go through life with a skill. I hear so much from my clients. I train mainly an adult population, and they mainly have said to me, Michelle, I wish I'd had this when I was younger. Fitness is what they're talking about. And, and so I said, I'm going to see what's out there. And so there really wasn't much. And so I created My First Workout to help parents teach the skill that you don't have to be a trainer like myself. You can teach the skill of weight training right in the home from an early age. That's My First Workout.
I got my sort of transition from sports to more fitness, right? And fortunately, I lasted in sports a little bit longer than the average. I think I went all the way through the end of high school, a little bit beyond, but started lifting weights with my dad when I was 14. So we'd go to the local YMCA and, kind of the bonding time and go lift weights and things like that. And you're right. It's, my dad played football and he wrestled and stuff. So he had a knowledge of how to lift weights. but I understand, you know, a lot of people don't.
Mhm.
And I think that's a great need that you're filling right there. If statistics show that most children will quit sports by 13, or what'd you say, 70%, right? That's most.
70% by 13, and it goes up to like
And it
over
keeps,
80% by
right.
the time they're like 15 or something like that, you know?
Wow.
So there's a lot of life to be lived after 15, you know? So,
Absolutely.
and Chris as a trainer, I mean, so even beyond that, what I worry about, you know, what I see people coming to me with in an older population, you know, you've got your neck, you've got your back, your
Back
knees, your
pain.
kind of
Yep.
classics, okay? But these people were not raised swiping a phone
Right.
from the age of 10 months. These kids know how to use this at 10 months. They're doing this, you know, and so, you know, there's so much sedentary nowadays, you know, not even forget the pandemic. I mean, we're all having to be indoors, but even before that, you know, there's just going to be a lot of problems. And I'm really trying to help these kids offset a lot of those issues that they're going to have, you know, from being in such a technology saturated world so early on.
Yeah. What's really interesting, and this is like right up my alley. This is what I preach all the time. You know, my business is called My Core Balance,
Yeah.
and it's all about core posture alignment and making sure that we get enough movement. Sitting, I think, is more damaging to our health than manual labor.
Yes,
And I think this is the first generation. I agree with you. This is the first generation where they're not getting the movement from the playground that they need to stay healthy. So when I was growing up, you know, I could have benefited from a little extra, you know, fill in the gaps of my physical fitness. But in general, it was like, I'm playing for 6 to 8 hours a day, right?
yeah, right,
I'm doing a wide variety of things. I'm doing monkey bars. I'm running for hours. I'm crawling under things, right? Things like that.
right.
And now, like you said, we got this. And if you look at a silhouette of even like a 12-year-old and their posture, it's just terrible, right? We got like this going on, right?
Right.
And
Well, the gaming, you know, and you're doing a lot of the forward,
yeah,
you know, they're seeing our carpal tunnels and this and these kids, you know, I mean, you know, there's no more secretaries that are 40 that have been doing that for 20 and 30 years. I mean, it's kids, you know,
it's
they game
kids. Yeah,
all day long. It's a job, you know,
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So someone who comes to you, how do you start them? Like someone who's not in shape, they're not healthy. What's the first thing, or maybe the first two or three things that you tell them? What is the starting point for you?
For an adult, for one of my
Uh,
clients.
yeah, let's go for one of your clients. Yeah, for a kind of a typical adult, what are your recommendations for them?
So for an adult that had, say, was sitting for the last 20 years and are just trying to get their career, and they got a family, and they went to the doctor, and now they got a bunch of symptoms, and the doctor says you need to start exercising. So for that client that walked through my door, the first thing I would really try to build is just a consistent habit of fitness. I don't get fancy with any of my programming. I don't try to come down on their diet and all the other things that we need to have in order to really be our optimal self. The first thing I do is I just try to listen and kind of get all that I can from them and hear kind of where, so I can really get a good point of where they are. And I just try to make sure that they're coming to their sessions and just doing everything I can to get them in a habit of fitness, because I know when their body starts asking for it, then we're in a good place. You know, when their body says, hey, we haven't done our fitness today. And that's the point that I really try to get to. Once we have our fitness established and they're coming, they're starting to see the results, you know, we start, you know, turning it up a notch. You know, I'll start getting, I like to make my sessions, unless they're bodybuilding, I don't get a lot of bodybuilders. Most of my clients are general fitness, conditioning, strength, you know, just to be able to you know, live a healthy, pain-free life. You know, but I get to the point where, like your program, I like to do full body. You know, if I'm working their bicep, I'm usually trying to do a core and a lower body move too, and try to be efficient. And so I just try to get them, the next step would be to try to get working as much of their body in each move to be efficient. And then I start going into their other areas of their life. How's your diet? How's your sleep? Some of them are right off the bat are wanting to talk diet. So I do that. It's not that I don't, but we start talking about diet, we start talking about sleep, and we start talking about, if you have, one of my questions right off the bat is, you're 40 years old. Do you know that these are all the tests that you should get? And I make sure that they're aware of those, because we can't help them if they're off in other areas, and so I just try to make sure that they have gotten they've gotten checked in all the areas, not just, so that I can do their fitness.
Right. You can really specialize, really focus on fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that I just turned 40 years old? I need your list. Give me
I
your
will
list.
send it to you. Yes. I have a 30s, 40s, 50s, and then like 60 plus, because in each decade there are, and the list goes from this to this to this to this, and that you really should, from your skin and your, blood work and, there's just a lot of different areas. And I just say, have you been aware? And they'll go through and yes, I've done this. Oh, I got to go do this, and it's just prevention. I am about prevention and being proactive in life. And I believe that is the best way to be. And that is what my program is about.
That's great. I love what you said about how when somebody first starts, you're not fancy. You just like, let's just get in the habit. And when their body calls for it, I think that's the best way to progress.
I will give them a move that I am 99.9% sure that they're going to be able to do and do pretty well, because I got to build their confidence. I'm not trying to make them feel like they're not good at fitness, because they already probably feel like that coming through the door. So everything I give them is something that they're going to do, so I can honestly and genuinely say, that looks great form. That, awesome job. 10 is your goal. And I always say, let's aim, in my mind, I've already sized them up based on, the health history and everything. So I'll say, 8 to 12 reps. And that way I'm giving them something that they can do. And if they go past that, I'm like, awesome. But I don't want to give them too much early on, make them feel like they're not doing well, know? So
there's plenty of places that are doing that. And I think, the majority of trainers that I talk to are more like you and me, where it's like, no, let's meet them where they are and let's just go with them one step at a time. And unfortunately, there are some, I'm not going to name any names, but there are some fitness modalities that have the bad reputation of, oh, is that hard? Well, let me give you more. Oh, is that hard? Oh, let me give you more, right? So for anybody watching this, that's not what you want to do. You don't want to obliterate yourself, right? If you can't walk the next morning, that's pretty much a counterproductive workout. That's not what we're going for. The no pain, no gain is, it's not 100% accurate, right? There should never be literal pain, but, little challenge is good.
Right.
So Michelle, I want to change gears. I want to point the spotlight at you personally.
Okay.
Where do you struggle with your health and fitness, or maybe where have you struggled in the past, and what strategies have you used to overcome that struggle?
All right. So I'm going to say my number one sabotager is probably my diet. I am probably, I guess the older I get, I realize maybe more of an emotional eater, and I like to reward myself because I work really hard all the time. And so I love my little rewards. But I'm going to confess now, I'm a junk food junkie a little bit. I love
confessional now.
I love, chocolate chip cookies, and I love to bake, and, I do, the more stressful my job is becoming an entrepreneur. The last 3 years have been probably the hardest years of my life. And if it wasn't for these kids and these families, they just keep me going, and I'm living out loud what my dream is for these families. I have friends that have created potties for kids. I've had friends that have created, little sleepers. I don't know if I could have kept going and put my family and myself through what I've been through if it wasn't such a great cause. Like there's already potties out there. There's already sleepers, you know what I mean? So I give those entrepreneurs just 100% kudos, because kind of paving a road, and there's not a lot of people doing it and stuff. But in saying all that, I've my one glass of wine is probably turned into two, and maybe a beer, and it's, I like to, I don't know. I just, so that's something I'm keeping in check, because those are, I'm going to say it's my diet though. But I do not miss a workout.
So often, people think that trainers have it all down.
Yes.
We're perfect. We have everything go. I think really what it is that we hit, a very high level, right? Maybe we hit 97 to 99%, and we've been doing it for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what really creates the results. So perfection's not the goal, but just growth over time, right? Just like what you were saying.
Right.
So Michelle, you have been invited to give the speech at a university at their graduation. So you're about to talk to some 21, 22-year-olds who are about to start their life. So now we're going really big picture, not so much health and fitness, but more general principles, success strategies, advice. What kind of motivational speech would you give to those graduates?
The reason I'm in fitness is, because it has been there for me. And so my motivational speech would be, life from here doesn't get any easier. I can't promise it's going to get harder either, but you better have a solid foundation. And without a solid foundation, no matter what you encounter from here on out, it's going to be harder than it has to be if you don't have something that you've got to have a way to cope. And if you're coping with, if you've got ways of coping that are sabotagers rather than foundation, things that are something you could stand on, then you better get it figured out pretty quick. You need to find something that, that you can rely on no matter what. For me, it's been my fitness, has been there through every single, it's been there through all my papers and my tests, bad relationships, all that stuff that I was going through, during college, after college, the, death of my father, divorce, being an entrepreneur, relating with my boys. It's hard to have stuff sometimes in this world nowadays with technology. It's hard to compete with that. Fitness for my family has been everything. It's a foundational piece for myself, and it's been led to incredible quality of life for me. My faith, I wouldn't, and I believe that God brought me into fitness because he knew me 100%, before I was born, and knew the kind of person I was. And, I wanted to be a doctor. That's where I was heading. And, it was hard to get the no on that. I got the no on that. And, but I've learned that I don't fight for what I want in my life too much, because there's a greater plan. And so, my faith has been my top fallback, my fitness. I've got a great family. I've been very blessed to realize that, family is just everything, and family is, has been there for me. And so I just would encourage people to make sure that they have a foundation, and that will be able to get them through no matter what they're going to face from there on out.
Great. Absolutely. Keeping the priorities straight. Faith, family, fitness. That's great. You got the 3 F's.
And then friends.
And friends.
Friends come and
More
go.
F's.
Friends come and go. So friends are, my life. I'd probably put food before friends.
Especially your chocolate.
Emotional eater,
Especially your chocolate chip cookies, right?
Yeah, my one thing that I can cook really well, and one of my clients said, "How do you stay really thin?" I'm like, "Well, have you ever had my cooking? And that's why. I don't really want to eat it, So no, I've gotten a lot better since that conversation. That was about 15 years ago, but I've gotten a lot better. But yeah, my fallback is my chocolate chip cookies are really good, and so I put food, and then I would say friends, So thank
Nice.
God for chocolate and wine and all that stuff. It just for us fitness people, I mean, you got to have something, right? For all of our
Exactly.
hard workouts,
Exactly. You got to
ourselves.
reward yourself and treat yourself occasionally.
Yeah.
So Michelle, we're going to wrap it up. Leave everyone your contact information, website, how to get a hold of you, social media, all that good stuff.
Okay. So Michelle Miller is my name, and I actually have a 1-800 number if you want to just talk to me. I love people, love talking and guiding people to fitness. That's 1-800-665-0360. I have 2 websites. So if you're interested in my kids' fitness program, it's myfirstworkout.com. And as a trainer, it's mmfitness.com. I here in Tallahassee am mobile, and I go right to people's homes. I actually have a private studio here in my home that a lot of my higher end clients, people that don't want to get, stopped at the gym, they love coming here in total privacy. They'll forget their shoes, they'll forget all kinds of stuff, and it doesn't matter. So that's mmfitness.com. And yeah, I think that's all my contact information. So.
All right. Sounds great. Well, Michelle Miller, thank you so much for joining me today. Health in the Real World podcast. I really appreciate it.
Chris, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and I'm excited to learn more about all your other guests that come on your show too.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.